All right, let's just dive right into this explainer on sustainable development. We hear this phrase everywhere, right? It's this massive global buzzword. But today, we're going to actually break down exactly what it means, where it came from, and how it's being applied in the real world right now. Let's get to it.
To keep things moving, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll define the core concept. Second, we're going to unpack its 3 structural pillars. Third, we'll trace the historical origins. And finally, we will look closely at the 17 global goals guiding the mission today.
Part 1. What is sustainable development? Well, before we can solve anything, we literally have to ask ourselves, what exactly are we trying to sustain? And what are we trying to develop? Okay, so the most universally recognized definition comes from the United Nations Brundtland Report way back in 1987, and it brilliantly highlights this fundamental tension of human existence. It defines it as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Essentially, it's an organizing principle. It's saying our economy and our society are entirely dependent on nature, providing resources and ecosystem services. If we just deplete them all today, tomorrow's generation has absolutely nothing. Makes sense, right? Moving on to Part 2. The 3 core pillars. To actually make that 1987 definition a reality, it demands a really careful balancing act.
The crucial takeaway here is that you simply cannot have true sustainable development without balancing 3 specific pillars. It's kind of like a 3-legged stool. First, you've got economic sustainability. And hey, this isn't just about making money, it's about generating equitable wealth. Second is social sustainability, ensuring human well-being, health, and fairness across populations. And third, environmental sustainability, meaning the protection of our ecosystems, our climate, and our finite resources. If you push too hard on the economic pillar, while ignoring the environmental one, the whole structure just collapses. They literally have to rise together.
Which brings us to Part 3. Origins of a movement. Because, this 3-pillar framework didn't just magically appear out of nowhere.
While the basic ideas of ecological conservation go back centuries, the specific phrase sustainable development really blew up in the late 20th century. The modern institutional movement kicked off in 1972, gained that famous working definition we just talked about in 1987, and then eventually evolved into the definitive global agenda we use right now, which was adopted in 2015.
So who actually came up with it? The term was first collaboratively coined by British economist Barbara Ward and French microbiologist René Dubos, working alongside Maurice Strong. He was the Secretary General of the historic 1972 UN Stockholm Conference. Ward and Dubos pulled these groundbreaking ideas together in their seminal book, Only One Earth: The Care and Maintenance of a Small Planet. And that book actually served as the official conceptual framework for the entire conference. It was a huge deal.
But how did the general public find out about all these closed-door meetings? Well, major global publications essentially spread the idea like wildfire. The New York Times, along with specialized journals like the UN's Development Forum, provided comprehensive coverage that took these breakthrough ideas and officially cemented sustainable development right into our public consciousness.
And that leads us perfectly into Part 4, the 17 global goals. So what are we actually doing about this framework today?
Enter the 2030 Agenda, which was adopted by all UN member states in 2015. It takes the form of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. This is a massive, highly interconnected call to action. We're talking about eradicating poverty, protecting the planet, and establishing widespread peace and prosperity. These are not just vague, feel-good ideas. They are specific, targeted goals designed to balance those 3 pillars we talked about earlier.
Let's break this massive list down into some manageable chunks to see how they map to our framework. The first 6 goals heavily target the social pillar. We have Goal 1, ending poverty everywhere. Goal 2 is zero hunger, so focusing on food security. Goal 3 is all about good health and well-being. Goal 4 ensures quality education. Goal 5 targets gender equality. And Goal 6 focuses on clean water and sanitation. Notice a trend here? They absolutely all focus on fundamental human rights, health, and our basic biological needs.
Now, as we transition to Goals 7 through 12, things lean heavily into the economic pillar. Goal 7 is about affordable, clean energy. Goal 8 promotes decent work and economic growth. Goal 9 is all about industry, innovation, and resilient infrastructure. Goal 10 seeks to reduce inequalities. Goal 11 focuses on sustainable cities, and Goal 12 ensures responsible consumption and production. Together, these outline exactly how we can generate inclusive wealth while safely transforming our industrial footprint. Pretty ambitious, right? Finally,
Goals 13 to 15 tackle the environmental pillar head-on. You've got Goal 13 demanding urgent climate action, Goal 14 protecting life below water, and Goal 15 protecting life on land. But look closely at those last two goals on the board. Goal 16 promotes peace, justice, and strong institutions, while Goal 17 is about global partnerships. These final two, they're the absolute prerequisites. Without peace, strong institutions, and people actually working together, achieving those other 15 goals is basically impossible.
Seeing how deeply interconnected all these economic, social, and environmental goals are, it leaves us with one vital question. Knowing the massive tension between our immediate, day-to-day human needs and the finite resources of our one and only Earth, can we effectively balance these pillars in time to achieve this ambitious agenda by 2030? It's a daunting challenge for sure, but hey, understanding the roadmap is the very first step. So think about how your own daily actions map onto these 17 goals, because ultimately, sustainable development is a puzzle we all have to solve together. What's your next move?